Okay, today we are teaching the novice weight room lifter how to bench press. The bench press is an upper body movement. It mainly works your chest, your pecs, your shoulders, and your arms. And it's a pretty high level difficulty movement, although anyone can do it if they just take the time to master the technique of the bench press. If you're a beginner to the bench press, then you'll probably want to start off with an empty barbell or very little weight. And if you're a strong fella, then you can throw some weight on the bar. But some coaching cues: you don't want to keep your hands too wide or too narrow. Just keep them right in the middle on the bar. And when you go down, don't flare your elbows out to the side. Make sure they're kind of tucked into your side. And so when you first lie down on the bench and you grab the bar, you don't want to go out there and start repping it out as fast as you can. The ideal thing to do is to be slow and controlled on the way down and then explode up. Will train your muscles to be explosive and be high energy muscles. And also you want to engage your core when you're bench pressing, and you want to use your legs. When the bench press is done correctly, it's actually a total body movement. It's not just locking your legs out and just repping out upper body. When you use it correctly, it's actually total body. So when you go down and you explode up, you actually want to use your core and you want to drive your heels to the ground. That involves your legs. So you're using all the power from your legs and your core and your upper body to push through the bar.
In between sets on the bench press, we like to do band pull aparts, what we call them, where you lock your arms all the way out and you keep the band tight, and this is working the back really well. It looks like this, and you do this in between sets, and it keeps your muscles loose and gets you ready for the next set and eventually go up in weight. On the bench press, you usually start pretty light, so like me and Nick and George will start at 135 and do a couple warm-up sets, probably 2 or 3 warm-up sets, and then we'll bump the weight up and work up to, depending on what you're doing that day, you can do heavy sets of 5 or max out, or light sets of 10 or 15. So usually you'll start light and do warm-up sets and then work your way up. And like we said earlier, in between sets you can do things like band pull aparts or hip flexor stretch or anything like that to just do in between sets.
Thank you. If you do higher reps, you can get stamina. And if you do lower reps, it'd be more for strength. And then also, you can train it more than once a week. You can train it probably every other day is when you end up doing that, because you want to lift the other parts of your bodies on a different day and let your chest and shoulders and back recover from the day that you lift. And then for your this helps you athletically because it gives you strength in your upper body and maybe flexibility somewhere in there, your shoulders, back, or chest. And then for the band pull aparts, you always want to do that with higher reps because you can. That's only when it's effective, because lower reps you don't get as much. And then you can do it practically every day. You probably want to do it with the bench press because you want to stretch out that area when you do the bench press. And then it helps you athletically because it makes you more flexible, and flexibility is key.